Ho, 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 gentlemen. The holidays have come early this year as Manscaped have the gift that keeps on trimming. Santa's beard isn't so appealing when it's coming out of your trousers, and that's why Manscaped, the leaders in below-the-waist grooming, have you covered this holiday season. Now available in your country, join the 4 million men worldwide who trust Manscaped to keep their trees trimmed and ornaments polished. Go to manscaped.com and use code DTR for 20% off plus free shipping.
Stafford under pressure, and a tuck it, and he's in! Darrell Henderson, he's off and running! As Woods, touchdown! Cooper Kupp just went up and took it away.
Van Jefferson for the touchdown.
Aaron Donald smothers him. Jalen Ramsey with the pop-up. Sacked by Leonard Floyd, having a day again.
Darius Williams with a diving hit. Jordan Fuller comes up with his second interception of the night.
All right, guys, welcome back to Downtown Rams. As always, I'm your host, Alexis Kraft, joined here with my co-host, Jake Ellenbogen. And guys, we are coming to you a day after the Rams' Monday Night Football victory in Phoenix, Arizona against the Arizona Cardinals. Jake, this was a game that was a big deal for a lot of reasons. One, it's a primetime game, which is always fun, all eyes on us. Two, the first time that we played the Cardinals this season went very, very poorly for the Rams. I mean, frankly, they absolutely dominated us and destroyed our whole game plan, which we talked about in the preview episode. And third, this was big for playoff seeding potentially. We are now only one game behind the Arizona Cardinals to be first in the NFC West, and this obviously helps us with our wild card chances. So, Jake, before I hand it over to you, for your analysis, I'm just going to say that the Rams last night absolutely stepped up when they needed to on all cylinders, from the defense to the offense. Everything just looked in sync. And to me, it started with Matthew Stafford. What I said in our preview episode was that I felt like the way that Matthew Stafford played against the Cardinals was going to dictate the whole game. Because if you look at our losses this season, the common denominator, other than the play calling, was Matthew Stafford played very, very poorly. He looked very distracted. He was off his game. That was not the case against the Cardinals last night. He absolutely lit it up, played well. His receivers helped him out with some big time catches. And we didn't have to rely on the run game as much as we had been because, Stafford really made the passing game incredible. So, Jake, what were your thoughts on last night's game?
Yeah, so Alexis, last night was massive. I don't have to stress that enough. The Rams needed to win that game, and the way they did, I mean, it was a massive game for the Rams, showing a lot of heart. We talked about it. You and I both have the Rams beating the Cardinals, so it's not like we're shocked. But, when you see things transpire the way things go, and on top of it, after, we hung it up for, episode 395, and, we dropped it for everyone to listen to, not long after that, news came out that we were not, aware of. And that, of course, was the COVID news about Jalen Ramsey and Tyler Higbee. And, I went live on, my YouTube channel and discussed it, but we didn't get a chance to really talk about it because we had already released our show. And Jalen being out is just such a massive blow to a defense like that has been using him as kind of the do-it-all type of guy. So having him out was definitely something that the Rams had to overcome. And then I would argue that Tyler Higbee was almost even more of a loss because the Rams, we talked about it in the pregame, likely their game plan was going to, be revolving around a lot of 13 and 12 personnel groupings where you have 2 or 3 tight ends, whether you use a offensive lineman as an extra tight end or whatever to get another offensive lineman on the field or not. You were going to have a guy like Tyler Higbee when you're already kind of, in a little bit of a hole, not a ton of depth there remaining since, you lose Johnny Munt earlier in the season, you lose Jacob Harris. So they've been banged up in that spot. And to lose Tyler Higbee, it really kind of put them in a little bit of a tough spot. But I thought Kendall Blanton stepped up. Bryson Hopkins had his moments, of course, still Definitely, struggling a little bit as a blocker. They did call up Jared Pinkney off the practice squad. He didn't really play, but the Rams were able to overcome it. And what was really funny is that the Rams did run the football 20 times with Sony Michel. Now, he only finished with 79 yards on the day. He had 4 yards per carry, which is not horrible, but not great either. But what it comes down to is he had 5.7 yards per carry at the half. And essentially, the Cardinals went from, we're going to double team Cooper Kupp like we did in week 4 and shut him down, to allowing Sony Michel in that running game to really get to their heads. They then sold out to stop the run, again, picking your poison, and the Rams went back to Cooper Kupp. And you saw it, he had 40 yards at the half and turned that into a 123-yard day on 13 catches, 15 targets, a 44-yard play for him. You had a 40-yard play for OBJ, as well as a very impressive touchdown. He looks like he is back to his 2015-14 self. And Van Jefferson, I mean, what can you say about him as a deep threat? A 52-yard bomb from Stafford. Stafford was incredible. The Rams played complimentary football. Can't say enough about that, but I would be very irresponsible to not talk about the defense. The defense was unbelievable in this game to hold that high-powered offense to 23 points, to force 2 turnovers on downs, force 2 picks. You had one, Leonard Floyd, another one, Ernest Jones. Ernest Jones came in the red zone, so that was huge. You had 4 sacks on the day. Aaron Donald with 3 of them. Greg Gaines coming down with 1 of them. You had 3 pass breakups from Darius Williams having to take over as the lead man. How about David Long coming through? His most complete game as a NFL player in this league. He hasn't gotten a lot of opportunity, and he has struggled. He struggled mightily the first time he played against Arizona, but he was great in this game. You had a pass breakup from Ernest Jones. You had one from Aaron Donald that led to the Ernest Jones interception. I just thought all around, putting Kareem Orr, for instance, in the fire right off the bat. Hey, you haven't played all year, but now you have to cover DeAndre Hopkins. He had his moments where he struggled, but I thought he did pretty well for a guy that was thrown into the fire like that, spur of the moment. The Rams and Raheem Morris, that defense has to feel very good moving forward. This was not just a win against a rival. This was not just a win against a 10-3 football team. This was not just a win on primetime or on the road. This is a win that you can build off of. It shows that everything that we talked about against the Jacksonville Jaguars was legit. They have a lot of hope moving forward. And to me, it shows how much heart this team has, and the fact at the end of the day, this is the best team in the league when they are fully healthy. And they looked like almost one of the best teams we've seen all season out of any of the games. This is one of the best games played by an entire team the whole year, and they were far from healthy. So a 5-2 team on the road, I think they're gearing up for the playoffs.
Yeah, and you bring up the defense playing well, especially against Kyler Murray. That was something that we talked about last episode when we were previewing this game, and how we were hoping that there could be adjustments made from the first time we played the Cardinals, because Kyler Murray has been electric, not just in his first game against the Rams, but this entire season. The Arizona Cardinals now have 3 losses, which is not a lot. And I was very, very happy to see how the Rams adjusted to the Cardinals offense and took away a lot of his options when we weren't fully healthy, as you said. So that's really, really massive. That should be a big confidence booster for our Rams defense, who's going to be getting Jalen Ramsey back. So that's great news. But I do want to talk a little bit about the COVID issue, because 20 minutes prior to recording this, I'm looking at a newer tweet here. We had several players placed on the COVID-19 list, 7 to be exact, including Odell Beckham Jr., Terrell Burgess, Bryson Hopkins, Juju Hughes, Alaric Jackson, Sebastian Joseph Day, and Jonah Williams were just placed on the reserve COVID-19 list. This is tweeted by the Rams 20 minutes ago.
Wow.
We saw, but however, Tyler Higbee was activated, which is good because he had been on the COVID-19 list, which is why he missed last night's game. So he is now activated. And I think there's still Jake. Isn't there someone else still slipping my mind? Was it Darrell Henderson or was he activated? He's still on COVID-19.
I'm seeing it now. It looks like it's just Tyler Higbee that was activated.
Okay.
But yeah, COVID list.
So we
Beckham
have a massive.
Is huge.
Yeah, Beckham is huge. But here's the good and the bad news. The bad news about this is that COVID is clearly spreading throughout the team. Usually when this happens, that's what it means. So I would not be shocked if within the next few days we find out that more players have tested positive. However, the good news is Sean McVay said today that all the players who had been placed on the COVID list today are vaccinated. Now, what does that mean? That means that they have a shot at being back, I believe, Jake, by the game Sunday for the Seahawks if they have negative tests consecutively. Am I correct?
You are correct on that, Alexis. Kind of the incentive by the league to get vaccinated. It's a lot more stricter on people that aren't vaccinated, as we've seen with, Aaron Rodgers. He had to, wait a whole week or something like that. And I forget how it is, but, if you're vaccinated, you have the 48-hour rule, I believe. And if you're not, it's like it's 72 hours and 3 negative tests or something. Like, I don't know. It's definitely stricter on people that aren't vaccinated. And there's not many players in the league that aren't vaccinated at this point. So it's not like a huge deal with that. But there is one on the Rams. I know there's a few around the league. Obviously, we know Rodgers. But at the end of the day, the Rams, like you said, the good news is that they could very well end up playing against Seattle. And I guess if you're looking at this list, it's big to lose OBJ if he can't go on Sunday. It's big to lose Terrell Burgess, who, by the way, we not only love Terrell Burgess, but I got to give a shout out to the Rams for allowing him to play the star position in this game. He had over 30 snaps. It was the most all season. Troy Reeder had under 10 snaps in this game. They definitely really leaned on Terrell Burgess. I want to see that moving forward. Really bummed, though, that he is now placed on the COVID list. Then you have Bryson Hopkins, Juju Hughes, Alaric Jackson, and Jonah Williams. Sebastian Joseph Day wouldn't have been able to play anyway because he's on IR. Same thing happened to Christian McCaffrey. But it is that type of year. It is that type of it's that time of year, not that type of year. I think they've done a nice job, keeping players and staff safe. We've had little spurts come up, but we haven't had any sort of, outbreaks like this season, except for really the Browns. I think that they were the first team. Now the Rams. I guess it does kind of put into question, what's going to happen with the rest of the league and how, are they going to finish this season and things like that. I personally think they will. I don't know if they'll even cancel a game because, you could argue that last night should have been canceled, Alexis, since, we know now that Terrell Burgess played with COVID. We know that Bryson Hopkins did. We know that Juju Hughes and Jonah Williams and OBJ did. So, I think there's definitely, if they were going to cancel any game or anything like that because of COVID, they probably would have done it for the Browns game, and they probably would have done it for the Rams game last night. But I don't think they're going to do that. I don't know about you.
I don't think they knew. So apparently they didn't know about those positive tests till today. I think they tested positive today. So that's the good news. It's not good news that obviously 7 people have COVID, but the timing of this, if the Rams can avoid this spreading and more players testing positive closer to game time Sunday, then theoretically all of those guys, like we mentioned, would be good to go on Sunday. So I think that today, tomorrow, and Wednesday, Thursday, we'll probably know because like we mentioned, they are vaccinated. They're going by those rules. We will see if they test negative consecutively, and if so, they'll be playing Sunday. If they continue to test positive, they won't be. So it'll be something to keep an eye out for. But yeah, you mentioned Terrell Burgess. That's, what I thought of as well. What a bummer it is that he could potentially not be active for Sunday because he's really, really, in my opinion, stepped up and he played very well. And while Jalen Ramsey, should be back by Sunday. He wasn't activated today, which means in all likelihood he had another positive test. But he can still, at this point, play on Sunday, and I assume that he will be. And hopefully, I'm hoping that he will be. I hope that we still see Terrell Burgess out there. I hope that he gets some action, because I think that it really is going to help his development and also show what he can do when he's out with the other guys on defense and out with our starters.
Everybody is trying to cash in on the next best crypto, but if you want guaranteed way to double your money, all you got to do is head on over to MyBookie and use promo code JKDTR. It's simple. Sign up with MyBookie with promo code JKDTR, and your first deposit is instantly doubled all the way up to $1,000. How's that for a quick turnaround in your investment? With the NFL playoff race heating up and college bowl season just around the corner, double your firepower at MyBookie to get action in on the most important games of the season. Build your own props, create multi-game parlays, and take part in a host of MyBookie cash prize contests. This is the best time of year to both watch and bet on sports, because you know who the winners are by now. Don't miss out. Double your first deposit by using promo code JKDTR, and keep your eyes peeled for more exclusive holiday promotions coming soon at mybookie.ag. Bet anything, bet anytime, anywhere with MyBookie.
Girls, I don't know about you, but I'm tired of finding a bush when I go down in my man's chimney. Dear Santa, all I want this holiday season is for my man to have smooth jingle balls. Thankfully, Manscaped answered with the Performance Package 4.0, so I don't have to find Santa's beard in my man's pants again. Ladies, this holiday season, get your man products that will leave him smelling fresh with their all-new ultra-premium body wash and a 2-in-1 shampoo and conditioner. It's time to give the man in your life the gift of beautiful skin, hair, and balls this holiday season. Go to manscaped.com and use code DTR for 20% off plus free shipping.
Yeah, it's interesting, though, because they were placed on the COVID list, so it's like the Rams, I mean, it's weird because the Rams have to be careful here, because if they sign guys off their practice squad, for instance, and then these guys are able to play, then the Rams are kind of put in a predicament where they have to then waive those players, risk losing them in waivers, and then just have to go through all that process just to get them back on the practice squad. So the Rams have to be a little strategic in that regard, because while people can look at this as, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, they have, 6 or 7, availability, or actually no, because they picked up Tyler Higbee onto the roster. So they have about 6 spots available, or 5 spots available, because Sebastian Joe stays on IR. So 5 spots available on the roster. So you see what I'm saying, Alexis, where the Rams could just look at that and be like, okay, we'll just bring 5 guys from the practice squad and sign them. But if you do that, and then these guys are able to play and you want to bring them back, you would then have to waive those guys. So you see what I'm saying? So it's kind of a weird dilemma there.
That's why I don't think that any decisions like that will be made until like Thursday, when they know. Because if it's Thursday, because I think that you have to, I'm not sure, it's either Thursday or Friday. If on Thursday or Friday, a majority of those players are still positive, then they're not going to be playing Sunday. That's when the Rams can be like, okay, we're going to have to bring some people in because they for sure can't play. But, the NFL yesterday had 37 total positive COVID tests. So this is not just the Rams. It might be more condensed on the Rams than on other teams. So, for example, other teams might be having 2 to 3 guys a day testing positive or something like that. I haven't looked too far into it, but I know a lot of people tested positive today as well. I don't have that exact number, but I think this is to be expected. I'm sure the NFL expected it. I think, it's just NFL teams are just a reflection of the country, right? As more people test positive, you can assume that more players will test positive. If the virus is spreading, it's going to be no different. So I think the NFL, I think you're right. They're not going to cancel any games. It might get a little shaky for some teams. If they have bigger outbreaks than others, they might have to get a little creative. But I am not too worried about it. And I'm hoping that everyone who was placed on the COVID list today will be better by Sunday, and that no one else on the team will test positive before Sunday. So it's just something to keep an eye out for. Jake, lastly, we played, the Cardinals division rival last night. We're going to be playing another division rival on Sunday, which we will have a preview episode about. But finishing out the season for the Rams now, because we're almost there. As of now, we are fighting for a wild card spot. There's still a chance for us to be first in the division. If Arizona, loses a few games. I should note that Arizona is playing the Detroit Lions this week. So I don't know that it'll be this week that they get that loss. But Jake, what do you think the Rams need to do pushing towards the end of season to guarantee that wild card spot in the NFC, which a lot of teams are fighting for right now?
Well, I mean, the Rams have to take care of business the rest of the way. If they want to get that number 1 seed, which is still up in the air, if they want to win the division, they have to win all their games. They have to have Arizona lose 2, because Alexis, even though that they're 1 game behind Arizona and they have the win, they don't have the tiebreaker, because while the best the Rams can do the rest of the way is go 4-2, the worst the Cardinals can do the rest of the way is go 4-2 in the division. That would be the second tiebreaker. So if that's the case, then the Cardinals would be set up with wins in common games, which the Cardinals have a better record in wins. As far as common games record, they have a better record than the Rams do. They have more wins. And so that's what it's going to be. And so right now the Cardinals have that by a kind of a mile. But keep in mind, if the Cardinals lose to, say, the Colts and, they drop 1 to the Lions, those would help the Rams, because, I mean, those are common games. But again, it's like if the Cardinals lose 2, it doesn't really matter if the Rams win out. So it's one of those things where the Cardinals pretty much have the tiebreaker locked up. So as long as they don't just collapse, in the final 4 games of the season, they're probably winning the division regardless if the Rams win all their games or not. So the Rams really do need the Cardinals to lose 2. They need to win out. They also, if they want the number 1 seed, they need Tampa to lose a game. They would have the tiebreaker over Tampa Bay due to head-to-head. Tampa would have 4 losses. Rams have 4. They get the head-to-head. They would need Green Bay to lose 2, because Green Bay would have the tiebreaker over the Rams in head-to-head. And they actually would need Dallas to lose another game, because Dallas would have the 3-way tiebreaker due to conference record. I know that's a lot of stuff being thrown your way. And I know it's kind of weird because no one I guess some people do, but I don't think you and I look at the Dallas Cowboys on the same tier as the Rams, Packers, Buccaneers. But, the Cowboys are as dangerous as anybody as far as getting that number 1 seed, because if it was a 3-way tie at the end of the day, it can be the weirdest scenario. I saw it the other day, Alexis. The Rams can essentially tie with the Bucs and the Cowboys. The Bucs beat the Cowboys. The Rams beat the Buccaneers. But the Cowboys would be the team that would get the first seed because of their conference record over those 2 teams. So if the Cowboys win out and the Rams win out and the Bucs only lose 1 game, and say everything else happens, if those 3 teams tie, it would be the Cowboys getting the 1 seed. Just something to keep in mind.
It's definitely going to be something that we're keeping an eye on, and I know everyone else is as well, because it's that time of the season. We just got to keep pushing. We got to keep executing and hopefully play the rest of our games like we did against the Cardinals last night. But guys, that's going to do it for us. As always, if you like what you hear, please like and subscribe. You can follow us on social media at Downtown Rams. You can follow me on Twitter at the Alexis Craft, and you can follow Jake at JK Bogan. And we'll be back later this week with a preview episode for our matchup against the Seahawks. But until then, guys, stay safe, take care, and go Rams. Get 20% off and free shipping with the code DTR at manscaped.com. That's 20% off with free shipping at manscaped.com, and make sure to use code DTR. Unlock your confidence and always use the right tools for the job with Manscaped.